But we have Kevin Nash versus Logan Paul. What is that about, KP? I have not heard anything about this, so
I
if you
listened
can
to
break it
clickbait,
down.
but I don't know about that.
By the way, I'm still offended you think I listen to MF Doom, bro. That's so fucking racist, man.
It's all right, bro.
So are these texts from each other?
So these are tweets on
Mm.
Kevin Nash's podcast. It's called Click This. He went to SummerSlam and had really good things to say about a lot that happened on SummerSlam. But I guess he found out how much Logan made, which prompted this response on his show, which is for the listeners. That motherfucker, from what I heard, he's making like $5 million for fucking limited. And those other motherfuckers are out there making house shows. Fuck you. That's from the boys. I don't give a fuck how many people are following you. If it said you had 24 fucking million Rhodes Scholars following you, motherfucker, man, I would be like, dude, you are fucking Jesus. You got a bunch of fucking hey, so that's Kevin Nash's thoughts on the situation. And Logan Paul posted a tweet video, I believe yesterday, saying, I got people messaging me. They're like, Kevin Nash is talking shit about you. I said, damn, who's Kevin Nash? And I mean that I'm unfamiliar with this guy. Fuck me? No, fuck you.
All right, let me start this off because I feel like this is Kevin Nash being upset that somebody is on their own schedule making a lot of money. Is the your mic is muted, Bob?
I think Kevin Nash was off the Vino recording a little podcast late at night,
L-
and
Listen, him being upset, that was him the entire 90s.
dude, this is the same guy who signed a contract where if anyone comes in after him, he has to get paid more.
Exactly.
The whole reason he was a wrestler was to make money.
It blows my mind. Like, we have documented footage.
He'll tell it himself. I swear to God, every Kevin Nash shoot interview, it's like it's fake. It's like he's the one who calls. Don't be a mark. Him and fucking Scott Hall went on a world tour of shoot videos, calling everyone mark for believing their own
marks. We're it's a business, brother.
He's being a mark. Kevin Nash is being a mark.
We have witnessed Kevin Nash turn into the mark.
I hate to see it, man. It's a sad day. Sad day, bro.
Wow.
It's the same guy who literally would like. This guy didn't want to do the job to the Big Show. He faked a heart attack. He literally said, "Oh, I'm having some heart complications. I'm gonna go to the hospital. You guys do you. Have Starcade. We'll figure it out." It's Kevin Nash, guys. Like, come on. This guy's the biggest worker of them all. Less dates, fuck house shows. I'm not trying to do this shit. I'm trying to chill in Florida. I'm at the beach in Daytona. Like, Hulk's got Nitro. He can do it. Like, what are we doing here, Kevin Nash? I get it, but what are we doing here? If this was the 90s, he would be best friends with Logan Paul. He would be asking Logan
faction.
He'd be
faction with him.
So Logan, who's your accountant? He would be literally best buddies with this guy, man.
No, I listen to his podcast. A lot of times it's taken out of context, but not in this way. Like, he legit gets mad. Now, I'll defend him a little bit. He has had a rough 2 years. So maybe a lot of this stuff is coming from somewhere. Like, because usually on the podcast, he's stoned out of his mind sometimes. And then sometimes he's not. But so this came from, I don't know where this came from exactly, this anger, but it came from somewhere. Pause. The second thing is, Batista said the same thing about why he got into. It's a lot of workers. It's just like prize fighting. It's a physical sport. It's like I played football because I had to get out, and I'm just physically imposing. But with Batista, when I was watching, shouts out a friend of the show, great man who hand I want to shake, Chris Van Pleet. He said Batista was on there, the new interview, because he's promoting that movie. He talked about how he got into pro wrestling because I'm already Diesel, but I grew up poor and I wanted to start making money in my 30s. But then he went broke again, then he did Guardians of the Galaxy, made money. But with him, the way he said it was, yeah, I got into pro wrestling to make some money, but you can tell with Batista, like, he took it serious, but it was just a gateway to eventually get him to where he wanted financial freedom. And it's not to say he wasn't professional. Again, it's a job. It's like what Pav just said earlier about that jabroni that I almost said a term about that I can't say here, being swerved. It's like, dude, hey, in the words of Midian when he was on Undertaker podcast, and that's the funniest episode ever on there. He said Ultimate Warrior put out a credit card and had Ultimate Warrior on it. But then he also asked Midian, his tag partner, he was like, yeah, what's your record? And Midian was like, record? This shit ain't real, buddy. It's like, no, it's a fucking job. It's like all three of us. We work a job. KP don't work a job. He his own boss. He Dame Dash. Well, not this current Dame Dash, but the old one. It's
Prime
like,
Dame
bro,
Dash, 2003. Dame Dash.
yeah, when he was calling people broke, being Dame Dash. Now the tables have turned, Charlotte Murphy. But it's like, dude, everything is a job. If I work for the NBA, yeah, I'm making $300 million. But if I sit a couple games, they might say, all right, you ain't gonna win no awards. They get you your bonus. It's the same thing as a job. You still gotta go clock in. But with Kev, it's kind of like, dude, yeah, he making $5 million because it's Logan Paul. I don't like the fucking bastard. I don't know him personally. I'm not a fan of him. That's y'all era. You know what I mean? The little white boy that go around in Tokyo and shit like that. That's y'all. I grew up in an era where, you know, World Star and violence and shooting and shit like that. That's what I grew up on. That was my Logan Paul. All right.
Death, destruction, and mayhem.
Yeah, bro. Live Leaks
That
was
was
your Logan Paul.
This is 50 with my Logan Paul.
Right.
Yeah, let me just touch on something real quick. One sec. I think
Mhm.
people forget that we're in a generation where people are like post Attitude Era. They grew up. I want to be a wrestler when I grow up. I want to be a wrestler. Yeah, remember like Kevin Nash and all these people from the era from back in the day. They didn't grow up wanting to be a wrestler. Nobody grew up wanting to be a wrestler. It was all right. People say I have charisma. I'm kind of jacked. What do I do? I can't play sports anymore. All right, might as well become a fucking wrestler. All right, time to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
Like it was such a common thing. You think Hulk Hogan fucking wanted to be a wrestler, bro? No, this guy tried to be a rock star. He was a banker. He tried fucking everything in the world before. All right, bro, what can I do with my big ass muscles? All right, time to be a wrestler. And it's like people forget that because now it's all, you know, my whole life I just wanted to be a wrestler. And, you know, I deserve it. It's like it's a job, bro. That's all it is. Some people are just made for it. Some people just fit into it. It is what it is. It's life. It's like actors. It's like NBA players. You know how many NBA players don't even like basketball? They're just tall.
Most of them. Most of them.
Like Larry Sanders, remember that guy? He literally just left the league. He's like, man, I just played this because I was tall. I don't even want to do this shit anymore. It is what it is. You're telling me if you were jacked, you wouldn't learn to love wrestling. Guys, Sting is like the most beloved wrestler. This guy doesn't give a fuck about wrestling for like 90% of his career. I think now he probably cares more than he ever did. He never cared about wrestling before. You watch a Sting shoot video or like a watch along. There's this one with Ric Flair and Sting, right? Ric Flair's like crying. So this was the greatest day of my life. He's having like, and Sting's like, yeah, that was cool. Yeah, like he doesn't give a fuck because it's just a job. They're jacked. What else are you gonna do? You become a wrestler. That's how it was in the 80s and 90s, man.
They were either bouncers at a bar, and then they just got discovered, and they were like, "Hey, you want to make some extra money on the side?"
How many stories are like, you know, I was at the grocery store buying steak, and fucking Jim Cornette or someone pulled up. Yeah, you should come to Louisville. It's life, man. That's what it is. People just forget that. Everyone's so fucking marked out. Like, you know, you have to have dreamed to be a main eventer when you were a kid. You have to love wrestling. It's like you would be surprised how many of your favorite wrestlers didn't give a fuck about wrestling. For every Ric Flair or even Triple H who loved wrestling, worshipped it, there's other guys that just didn't care. They didn't, and they're probably the best ones.
That whole trend started around, I want to say, wrestlers born in like 88 and onward.
I think of Zack Ryder era. I think of kids who were like 10, 12 during the Attitude Era, and then around like 05, 06, 07 when they're trying to come up, like, yeah, I wanted to be a wrestler, right? I don't know.
Daniel Bryan's probably the ultimate. I grew up wanting to be a wrestler. I became a wrestler.
Yeah,
Roman
100%.
Reigns, his story isn't, I grew up wanting to be a wrestler like my dad. None of the Usos, nobody in the bloodline, their stories started with, I grew up watching wrestling. I want to be a wrestler. It was, we were moving furniture and we were broke doing that. So might as well be broke being a wrestler. Yeah,
exactly. Right. It's like, what are you're going to say no? Hey, do you want to have a stable job, kind of travel the world a little bit? Maybe you might become big, maybe not. Yeah, why not? What else am I going to fucking do?
Exactly.
But no, everyone gets so crazy about it.
Football player. Bill Goldberg, failed football player.
Look at The Rock. Do you think The Rock, if he got drafted after the Miami Hurricanes, would give up? If he could choose from the NFL and wrestling in 1995 or whatever, what do you think he's gonna choose, Gad? What are we doing here, man?
And this is peak Miami too. This is peak Miami when
This is pain and gain Miami.
Yeah, this is when the U meant something.
Warren Sapp.
Exactly. Warren Sapp, bro, I think he won a championship with Miami, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm pretty sure he did, yeah.
So listen, Kevin Nash, I think everybody agrees, very hypocritical because he lived the life of Logan Paul, but worse. Logan Paul comes, he does a mid-card match. It's a banger, by the way, for the most part, for most of his matches. And then he goes, fucks off, and then interviews wrestlers and gives them a platform.
Yeah.
And then, continues the thing. When him and Bad Bunny had beef, because Bad Bunny hated the fact that Logan Paul him and his brother live in Puerto Rico to avoid paying taxes, and he's just mooching off of land that Puerto Ricans, had to move away from on their own country to make way for all these rich people who do the same thing. Logan Paul was like, what if we wrestle at WrestleMania or something and the winner has to leave Puerto Rico? I'm like, he's using his brain for the business. He's doing it the right way. He's doing all the things the right way. And this 100% ends with Kevin Nash on his podcast.
Yeah, probably, right? Probably. Fucking Kevin Nash. I love Kevin Nash, though. You know what? He's the funniest guy. He does have too many. His podcast is hard to listen to. A lot of dead air, but he's a funny guy, bro. His shoot interviews are the funniest things. You ever watch the U shoots? Well, they'd be like,
oh yeah, those were the good times. Those were the good old days.
It'd be like, is he a dick or not or something? He'd be like, dick. Paul's cool.
Never had a problem.
Yeah.
But one thing that I know gives away that Logan Paul deadass has no idea who Kevin Nash is.
No idea.
Is that Logan Paul is really cool with Triple H. I'm shocked that he talked about Kevin Nash like that, with that relationship with Triple H, where Triple H and Kevin Nash best friends. But Logan Paul has dead air, not this podcast. We're gonna get into the TTMNs and then hit the go home music right after. Hit a KP.
Listening to the Black Announce Table.
I like your guys' style.